woman walked into a house. They never walked back out. For years, neighbors smelled something strange coming from inside, something none of them could quite explain. Nobody thought to ask what was buried beneath the floor.
Alexandria, in the final years of World War I, was a different city. Its streets were crowded, filled with soldiers, strangers, poverty, and fear. Within those narrow streets, one of the most disturbing serial murder cases in Egyptian history quietly began. Its name? Raya and Sakina. The two sisters weren't originally from Alexandria. They'd arrived from Upper Egypt with their families, hoping to build a better life. But poverty changed that. So did debt. And eventually, crime. They settled in Lebanon, a crowded working-class district. Houses stood wall to wall. The alleys were narrow. Almost no one paid attention to what happened behind closed doors. At first, their lives looked ordinary. Later, they became involved in illegal brothels. There, they met men willing to do almost anything for money. Their husbands joined them, along with several other accomplices. Together, they formed a criminal gang. Every member had a specific role. But eventually, money wasn't enough anymore. So they searched for a faster way to get it, a method that needed only one victim and a few pieces of gold.
At the time, many women wore all their gold jewelry every single day. Gold meant wealth, and that became the gang's target. The plan was simple. Invite a woman inside, welcome her with kindness, convince her to stay. Then, close the door and never let her leave. The victims walked in without fear. Within minutes, the house became a trap. The men restrained her. She was strangled to death. Her gold jewelry was removed. Then came the part investigators still find hardest to process. The floor tiles were lifted. A shallow grave was dug. The body was buried beneath the house itself. The tiles were carefully replaced, as if nothing had ever happened. It happened once, then again, and again, until the court would later confirm the deaths of 17 women. The question that has troubled historians ever since is this: how did no one discover what was happening? According to researchers, the answer wasn't only the gang's planning. Criminal investigations in Egypt at that time were far less advanced than they are today.
Missing women were often assumed to have simply traveled, moved elsewhere, or disappeared by choice. No one had a reason to dig beneath the floors of ordinary homes. But witnesses kept mentioning one strange detail: the smell of incense. Neighbors later recalled that incense burned almost constantly inside those houses. Several historians believe it may have been used to mask the smell of decomposition. However, no historical document has ever confirmed that explanation. Meanwhile, reports of missing women kept growing. Women entered the house, but were never seen leaving again. Even then, police had no evidence strong enough to connect the disappearances, until chance intervened. During work at one of the houses, human remains were discovered beneath the floor. That single discovery changed everything. Police began digging. One body was uncovered. Then another. Then another. Newspapers quickly filled with shocking headlines. Alexandria was consumed by fear. The gang members were arrested. The investigation began.
Some confessed, others denied parts of the crimes. Several blamed one another.
Although the court ultimately convicted the gang, some details of the murders have remained the subject of historical debate. In 1921, the verdict was delivered: death by hanging. The sentence was carried out, making Raya and Sakina the first women executed in modern Egypt. But was that really the end? Historically, yes. In the public imagination, not even close. Stories about the house began to spread. Some residents refused to live there. Others claimed they could suddenly smell incense inside the building. Some visitors described an overwhelming feeling of anxiety the moment they walked in. Others spoke of strange sounds heard late at night. Yet there's no historical or scientific evidence confirming any of those stories. They belong to Egyptian folklore, passed from one generation to the next, until fact and legend became almost impossible to separate. Today, more than a century later, some questions still remain. Were there truly only 17 victims? Or were others never discovered? Was the smell of incense simply a practical attempt to conceal the crimes? Or the detail that forever haunted the memory of an entire neighborhood? Perhaps the court uncovered everything it could prove, but it couldn't prevent the birth of one of Egypt's darkest legends.